been protected in Pennsylvania.
Now, the vice presidential pick for Clinton.
So go back. Hillary loses the election, loses the primary process against Obama. At that point, Tim Kaine was the head of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. Debbie Wasserman Schultz was Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. So then some kind of deal is done whereby Debbie Wasserman Schultz becomes the head of the DNC and Tim Kaine steps down. Now, if you're Hillary and you're thinking strategically that you're going to run again in 4 years or 8 years, to have your campaign manager as head of the DNC, controller of the, if you like, the regulator who's regulating the nomination competition, is a huge strategic advantage. Okay, so now let's wind forward, and the 20,000 DNC leak emails that we released. Okay, so they're from Debbie Wasserman Schultz, head of the DNC, and 6 other prominent people, finance, communications, and so on. And so what they show is that within the DNC, there was a unity of the most senior people, including Debbie Wasserman Schultz, to act against Bernie Sanders in the nomination process and for Hillary Clinton. Now, in what particular actions were performed? Well, there's a lot of discussions. There's discussions about we can use a captive reporter and push out the fact that Bernie Sanders might be an atheist and not a Jew, and this is going to cost him in the South.
Which organization? Sorry to interrupt. The CNN, I think, was the name, was it?
No, they didn't mention. They didn't mention the reporter in that particular case. And where MSNBC, on its most influential morning program, Morning Joe, was defending Bernie Sanders, then Debbie Wasserman Schultz called up the president of MSNBC. Amazingly, this is not reported in the US media. It is reported in the US media that they called up Chuck Todd, who's the host of Meet the Press. Okay. Something much more serious is not reported, that Debbie Wasserman Schultz herself personally called up the president of MSNBC to apply pressure in relation to positive coverage about Bernie Sanders on Morning Joe, their big morning TV program. Okay. Then to my mind, what is the most serious from an evidentiary point of view? It is the communications director, Louis Miranda, making an instruction to his staff to pump out a black propaganda story against Bernie Sanders, saying that his supporters were violent, and to put this out in a, quote, unattributable, unquote, manner. Why do I say that is the most serious? Because it is an instruction given through the chain of command to staff. It's not a discussion. It's not any one person calling up another person. And it is to depict Bernie Sanders supporters as violent. So that is not just a critique. That is not just to give Sanders a break here or make things a little bit harder for him there. It is to demonize a Democrat in the eyes of the public. So the Democratic Party demonizing a Democrat in the eyes of the public through covert means. Why did Hillary Clinton appoint Tim Kaine? This, you know, it's kind of a non-entity. Doesn't give the, obviously the way if Hillary Clinton's going to win, well, she has a range of things she can use, but the biggest demand for her going into the convention was to show prominently to Bernie Sanders supporters that they had one of their guys at the table. Bernie Sanders as vice president, one of Bernie Sanders' key allies as vice president, or something of an equivalent nature. Didn't happen. In fact, when Debbie Wasserman Schultz was pushed to resign, within hours, Hillary Clinton put out a statement saying that she was taking Debbie Wasserman Schultz to be the honorary head of her campaign and would be her surrogate and is her friend and would be used throughout the campaign. What kind of signal is that? When the person has been found to be acting corruptly, acting against Bernie Sanders, and you're trying to create unity, to conspicuously display that. She could have waited a week.
Okay,
she could have done it under the surface. Why conspicuously?
Well, the DNC says because they didn't believe Bernie Sanders would win in November, which is why they would do everything to help the Democrat Party. But
no. But why did Hillary Clinton conspicuously, after Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the head of the DNC, was pushed out as a result of our publications, why, moments after, did Hillary Clinton release a press release saying that she was effectively rehiring her? What kind of signal is that to create unity with the Bernie Sanders supporters? It is mad. So my perception is that the appointment of Tim Kaine and the conspicuous rehiring of Debbie Wasserman Schultz both come from the same phenomenon, which is cronyism. That Clinton's campaign, Clinton's structure is based upon these friendships and alliances that she has built up. And she cannot permit any signal to go out that says that she doesn't respect these alliances, because that's what the structure is based on.
She would be endangered by breaking relations with those.
Exactly. If she, for example, if she didn't pick Tim Kaine, and there was a deal done 8 years ago for Tim Kaine to resign and put in Debbie Wasserman Schultz for strategic purposes, and then she doesn't give Tim Kaine whatever he was promised, perhaps the vice presidency, then of course she'll pay a price.